Frozen Fun, Lucky Luke's Hunting Adventures by Kevin Lovegreen. Chapter 1. I wake up, and it takes me only a second to remember where I am. A giant half-moon smile raises my cheeks. I rise and look out the little window behind me. The sun isn't up, but the calm blue glow of a cold February morning says it's close. I look over at my older sister, Crystal, lying on the little bed next to me. She isn't moving, still dead asleep. Typical for a 14-year-old girl. I slide out of my sleeping bag and shuffle across the wooden floor to the old black cast-iron stove. The big logs Dad stuffed in last night are still kicking out heat. I warm my hands for a moment. I scoot over and peek out into the living room. The fireplace out there is almost done. I figure I better add some more wood if the cabin's going to stay warm, especially in the middle of winter here in Minnesota. I step through the doorway into the living room, and the cool air sends a chill up my back. I look out the window at the big round thermostat attached to the old oak tree. 0. I shiver, imagining how cold it must feel out there. It doesn't seem to bother the oak tree, though. I add a few split pieces of red pine to the fireplace. I shut the mesh grate and take a big deep breath to blow on the orange embers. Like magic, a flame appears. I smile and give the fire a nod of thanks for being so cooperative. I pull a chair next to the fireplace and look outside. The long row of windows provides a nice view. Like a king entering the celebration, the sun is emerging across the frozen lake covered in deep snow. In fact, if you didn't already know there was a lake out there, you might mistake it for a big meadow. In wintertime, everything sort of looks the same when it's blanketed by a bunch of snow. I'm Luke, and this is one of my favorite places in the world, my grandparents' cabin in northern Minnesota. I love hunting, fishing, and all outdoor stuff. And up here, we get to do it all, even snowmobiling and ice fishing. Grandma and Bappo didn't come up this weekend, so it's only our family. Mom, Dad, and Crystal are still sleeping. We arrived late last night because of the 5-hour drive. A chickadee lands on the wooden bird feeder that stands about 5 steps from the windows. Then a yellow and black bird lands next to the chickadee. Bappo told me those colorful birds are called evening grosbeaks. I look up in the giant pine tree that watches over the cabin and the bird feeder. I see a bunch more grosbeaks sitting on the branches. 5 of them fly to the feeder. 2 perch on each side. One grosbeak can't find a spot, so it lands on top, which is full of snow. This is the only place I see these birds. They must love it up here in the North Country. Suddenly, a big, bossy blue jay crashes the party and scares the grosbeaks all back to the safety of the giant pine branches. Then the blue jay digs into the birdseed like he's looking for one specific piece on the bottom. Seeds fly out and disappear into the deep snow. Snacks for a tunneling mouse, I guess. Then I catch some movement to my right. 2 white-tailed deer appear out of the woods. It's a big doe, the mama deer, and her fawn. I keep perfectly still. They will see me through the windows if I move. The mom takes her time and cautiously moves to the bird feeder. She sticks her nose down into the snow. Then she uses her right front hoof to scratch open a spot. From all the chewing she's doing, it looks as though she found the seeds the blue jay scattered. I guess that mouse will have to share. I stay still and feel the wonderful heat from the fireplace. I can't help but smile again. This place is so cool. I hear the kitchen floor creaking. Someone else must be up. I keep watching the doe to see how she reacts to the sound and movement. Her head turns left and her ears swivel and cup toward the window. She clearly hears or sees someone. "You have a visitor, I see," a voice behind me says. "It's Dad." "Yep," I reply, "and she sees you." The deer turns slowly around and high steps through the snow back into the woods. Her little one is right behind her. "Good morning, Luke," Dad says. "Looks like a perfect day to go ice fishing." My tired eyes don't need any help waking up now. I'm fired up. I love ice fishing, and the best ice fishing in the world is up here at the cabin. Ice fishing would be awesome. With a beaming smile, I look at Dad. Great, I'm thinking Boney's Lake, Dad says. My eyes get even wider. Boney's Lake is one of my favorite places to fish. We call it Boney's Lake because a guy named Mr. Boney used to live there way before I was born. The lake is small, tucked back in the woods, and loaded with monster bass, giant sunfish, and huge northern pike. I love fishing the lake our cabin is on, but we catch way more fish through the ice on Boney's. And we get to ride our snowmobiles on the way there. A total bonus. Dad's eyes light up too. It's a deal then. We'll get going after breakfast. He gazes at the snow-covered lake for a moment. Then he turns and gives me a special wink. There's some fresh powder out there, he says. I think it needs some tracks on it. Maybe you'll have time to get in a few hot laps on your snowmobile before we head out for Boney's. Sweet, I exclaim. That's the green light to take my snowmobile out for some fun. Like a jackrabbit, I spring to life and race for my gear. I high-five Dad as I rush by. Hold your horses, Mom says. She walks out of the bedroom. Let's get some food in you before you go outside. And just like that, I have pancakes on my mind. This is going to be a great day. Chapter 2. Breakfast is a feast. Fluffy pancakes, crispy bacon, sweet watermelon chunks, and tasty orange juice. As delicious as it is, we're all excited to get to Boney's. After cleaning up, Crystal and I fly over to our duffel bags. In a flash, I'm snuggled inside all my winter gear and ready to ride. I beat Crystal in our race to get ready, so I'm the first out the front door. I slowly tread across the short wooden deck. It creaks with each step. It sounds like I'm breaking the cold out of it. I carefully walk down the 4 icy steps. When I hit the crusty snow at the bottom, my boots crunch like I'm stepping on styrofoam. There it is. My trusty snowmobile sits next to the trailer. Through the frost, I see Lucky Luke written on the hood. Crystal's name is written on her sled, too. In purple, of course. Dad and Mom gave us the snowmobiles for Christmas this year. They're by far the greatest Christmas gifts we've ever received. Even if the sleds aren't new, they're ours. We love riding them. Dad comes outside and heads to the garage. Next, Mom and Crystal come out, all bundled up. They're carrying a big white cooler together. I ran over to help. Once they're down the steps, I take over for Mom. The cooler isn't that heavy, but it's big. Crystal and I carry it and carefully set it next to the yellow sleigh. You guys go make some tracks on the lake. Dad and I will load up the sleigh, Mom says. With a whoop, we both run to our sleds. Starting a snowmobile isn't as simple as starting a car. It's more like starting a lawnmower. To get the engine going, you have to yank a pull cord. And sometimes it takes more than one yank. So I turn the key on, push the choke up, and grab the pull cord with both hands. Using all my might, I pull. It's like pulling a frozen rope. It's cold out. I let the line go back in. Next, I brace my right foot on the edge of the snowmobile and pull the cord again. A little easier this time, but still the engine doesn't fire. I let the line back in and pull again with a grunt, letting it know I mean business. Nothing. I look over at Crystal. She isn't having any luck starting hers either. The sleds clearly don't like this cold. I pull again and again and again. I'm not giving up. This engine will start. I'm determined to make the first tracks on the lake. I stop pulling to catch my breath. Sweat is running down my back. Again, I grab the cord with both hands and give it everything I've got. The engine lets out one pop. Yes, I shout. That's the hope I need. I let the line in and pull again with all my might. Pop, pop. Now I'm energized. I pull again and again. The engine sounds like it wants to start. I pull harder and harder. Finally, Just when I'm almost out of steam, the engine putters a breath of smoke. I pull one more time. The putter turns into a rumble. I quickly grab the gas throttle and give it a push. Not all the way, just a little. I've watched Dad do this 100 times. This time, I'm going to make it happen. I'm breathing heavy. Steam is coming out of my mouth like I'm a dragon. I pull off my helmet to take the heat out. The cold air feels good on my hot head. Smoke billows from the cold snowmobile like a fog filling a swamp. Meanwhile, Crystal gives up on starting her sled. She heads to the garage to get Dad for help. I'm even more determined now to get my sled going. I play the throttle, warming up the engine. The black and dark blue hood of my Polaris snowmobile vibrates. It's finally awake. With each little push of the throttle, it revs powerfully. I slide my helmet back over my red hair and buckle the chin strap. I hop on the snowmobile like it's a horse and take hold of the handle grips. It's warmed up and ready to go. I give more gas, and the track spins and shoots the sled forward. I turn in the driveway and face the lake. The next challenge is in front of me. The only thing keeping me from the fresh powder on the lake is a huge snowbank. Dad made it from plowing the driveway last night. It's taller than I am. Staring the snowbank down, I take off and hit the bank, going right up it like a ramp. I bend my knees to take the shock. With just the right push of the throttle, I launch over the bank. My skis lead the way through the air. Then I land softly in the deep snow on the other side. Awesome! Now I'm floating through the deep powder snow. I go over the deer tracks, past the bird feeder, and down the big hill to the waiting lake. I level out when I shoot onto the lake. Then I lean into a right turn to follow the shoreline. The sun is shining and the pure white snow is sparkling. I'm flying across the lake, weaving back and forth on the powder. I bank to the left and keep following the shoreline around the lake. When I make a full lap, I don't stop. Like I'm racing against myself. I start another lap on the small lake. As I'm cruising, a thought comes to me. This lake is full of largemouth bass. I love catching bass. In the summer, you can't keep me off the lake. Now, all those fish are tucked under the thick layer of ice. Do they look up when I drive over them, or do they shoot off and hide? That's something I've never thought about before. Deep in thought, I look over and see another snowmobile. It's Crystal. Her purple helmet is easy to spot. I turn and cross the middle of the lake in her direction. When I get close, Crystal gives me a thumbs up. I know what that means. The race is on. She takes off down the shoreline. I squeeze the throttle and spin the track. It takes me halfway around the lake to finally get behind her. When we reach our cabin shoreline, I pass her on the lakeside. With me in the lead, we race around for another lap. When we near the cabin the second time, I turn right and fly up the big hill. Past the bird feeder, up and over the big snowbank and back to the plowed driveway. What a rush! Crystal comes to a skidding halt next to me and kills her engine. How was your ride, kids? Mom asks. Awesome! The snow is perfect, Crystal says. Yep, I agree. Dad and Mom have the old yellow sleigh attached to their snowmobile. The sleigh is packed with all the ice fishing stuff. I see the red auger for drilling holes, 4 little fishing rods all wrapped up with fishing line, the orange tip-up, the white foam minnow bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, and the green tackle box, all tucked behind the big white cooler. It looks like we're set. Let's get this show on the road, Dad says. With one mighty pull, Dad fires up his sled. Mom hops on behind him and wraps her arms around him tight. Dad turns the snowmobile and heads up over the snowbank toward the lake. The sleigh follows behind. An uneasy feeling overcomes me as the sleigh climbs up the steep bank. As the sleigh nears the top, the white cooler and all the gear behind it slide to the back. But then once the sleigh makes it to the top and starts down the other side, everything quickly rushes forward. The cooler and half the gear go flying out. Crystal and I look at each other and shake our heads. What was Dad thinking? Dad stops the snowmobile and looks back. Oops, is all he says. All we can do is laugh. Crystal and I run over and help Dad load everything back into the sleigh. We are really lucky the minnow bucket didn't break open. Water and live minnows would have been everywhere. With the gear secured in place, we finally head out. We follow Dad and Mom down the big hill toward the lake. I'm in the back to keep an eye on everything. Dad stays in the fresh tracks Crystal and I made. Meanwhile, she and I make new tracks, floating in the fresh powder. We follow Dad to the end of the lake. At the shoreline, he drives up the bank and joins the unplowed state road. I know this road well, because we grouse hunt down it every fall. It weaves through a big forest. The oaks and the white poplar trees are leafless, but the pine trees don't seem to care that it's winter. Their green needles still glow. Now we're cutting our own tracks. No one else has been around here lately. The journey continues through the state land. Dad leads the way. He's been coming up here for most of his life, so he knows all the trails like the back of his hand. I keep a safe distance back and watch Crystal as we cruise along. After about 20 minutes, there it is. The magical lake is in sight.